Good morning, everybody. This is yet another session of webinar from the Hobby Club. Today, I'm going to discuss something very important, a subject or a thought which is burning in our mind, but most of the time we try not to think of it. Not many people discuss this openly, but it's a important point, a landmark in a collector's life. He has to think over it, he has to act over it. So, the topic today I have chosen is what happens to your collection after you. It's a very sensitive topic and very important for every collector. We have passion, we collect many things, we do research, we invest money, we exhibit, we get awards, we set new records. But do we create a second line? What really happens to the collection? Because we all have a certain time frame. Nobody is immortal. But the collection, whatever we have, the history, all the stories, they have to go on forever for the next generation and the generation to come. So let me begin the presentation. Let me start the slides, and I'll put more light on this issue. First, little about myself. By profession, a software consultant, also a founder of the Hobby Club. I love to cook, I love to travel, and collect travel memorabilia. That is water bottle labels, air sickness bag, baggage tag, airline, hotel related material. And my hobby has given me a new career. I'm India's only practicing water sommelier. It's an expertise. I had a presentation on water bottle labels and water in general, and I had highlighted on this topic. So these are small things, but when we travel, they are very important. They have a short life. That's part of my collection. Now, coming to our topic. When I say what happens to the collection, is let us look at the current scenario. Most of the people, most of the collector, I should say, they go from pillar to the post and they sacrifice, they save, they go through enormous pain to collect and restore and maintain a collection. They invest a lot of time, money, but most of the time the collection is not documented. And when I say not documented, they don't have any records of what they have, what is the history, no photographs, nothing. Plus, they don't have the exact appraisal or the valuation. Let's say I am a banknote collector, and I have certain banknotes right from the 50s, pre independence, post independence. I may have purchased, I may have inherited, but I need to know what is the current market value. I may not sell it, but I should know what is the value, and time to time it has to get appraised by the experts so that you know what is it worth. Second, when we purchase through auctions, through dealers, through shop or any other from collector like garage sales, we don't record the investment or transaction details. The cost and the source both are not documented, both are not known. Why this is needed, I'll explain in the slides later. Collection is not preserved, stored, handled properly, especially uh, antiques. They are not restored by the expert. People try to use homegrown tools and methods, chemicals. The same goes for stamps or any other paper, any other banknote. It is not stored and handled properly. Now, If you ask a serious, a genuine stamp collector or even a banknote collector, uh, the practice abroad is they use cotton hand gloves, and they have special tongs to handle the stamp, to pick up the stamp. They don't touch the notes or the stamps or the coin with bare hand to avoid scratches. Now that's proper handling, proper storage. Restoration, again, homegrown restoration, or just painting an antique or getting it polished, or even coins. There's a big debate whether coin should be clean or not clean. So those restoration can not only damage the goods but also affect its value. One important aspect of collection is it is not insured. So if it gets damaged, if it is lost or stolen, we don't have any insurance. Third, it is not exhibited. Collection is hidden in a closet or in a locker, but unless and until it is displayed, the next generation or the interested person will not know what you have. Last and very important, disposal. Now I'm talking about pre and passing away of the collector. Let me share my personal experience. Why I did this presentation. Not very long ago, I met someone and he handed over four coins to me. 1947 Indian rupees, half rupee and things like that. Now I don't collect coins, but he knew I collect things. So he gave me those coins. The source, local kabadi wala, where I in a month or two, I give all the newspaper, all the paper trash for recycling. You know, the scrap vendors, or we call it kabadi walas or raddi walas in India. I went to him, and naturally, he sometimes gives me such coins or foreign notes which he gets from different people, discarded, even some old currency which is denominated, so demonetized. Sorry. So I asked him, these are good looking coins. Where did you get it? He said, a collector, a senior collector who used to stay just four building apart from where I was staying, he passed away. He was old. His wife, after a month or so, called the scrap vendor and disposed of everything. Now he was telling me he had bags full of coins and glass jars, big jars, the olden type jars, full of silver coins and rupees and whatnot. I did not get all the details. So curiosity, uh, going high, I asked him, what did he do? He said he picked up all the silver coins at 800 rupees per kg, and other coins maybe less. I said, okay, I have few collectors. Let me call them. They will buy this from you and it will be preserved. He said, sorry, to avoid any attention, unwanted attention like police and a whole lot of they run into their own problems. He said, I called my wholesaler. He picked up immediately, and within 24 hours, all the silver was melted. Most of the things were melted or flushed. So, a complete lifetime collection of a serious collector is gone down the drain, sold at scrap value. Imagine silver coins. Now, if you're a coin collector, I'm talking about somebody who is collecting for 50 years. He leaves this plane at 70, 75. He has 50 years of collection, jars full of silver coin. You know it better. So that's the problem. And that incident got me thinking, no, this should not happen. I mean, I'm not a dealer, and I don't intend to buy and sell things, but all that should be preserved. And you know what hurt me the most? Maybe 40, 50 years his lifetime of collection. He has acquired things, he has chased things, he has exchanged, he has purchased, got as a gift. There are so many beautiful stories and experiences enriching as a collector, or even for a layman who has once handled that coins or cash, or continues to use cash or any other collectible for that matter, is a great loss. All those stories, all those experience, that is lost. So I came up with this presentation, and I started interviewing people. I started getting into those stories, started documenting them. Now, how does this tragedy for a collector or the collector community impacts us? Loss of collection acquired in lifetime, all the knowledge. Now, the person who starts coin collection or any other collection may or may not encounter some fakes or uh, not so genuine and not so authentic sources. So he gains knowledge. He has knowledge about the coin, the make, the design, or any other antique or banknote or stamp, or for water bottle for my own collection. I have seen brands changing. I have seen color combination, design changing. I have seen whole lot of new packaging. So I have a history for a particular brand for last 10 years. I may have a history how their brand has evolved. Okay, their new marketing strategy reflect on the label and other things. So that's a knowledge. Okay, plus experience. Not to mention historical, the history and the historical references and those stories. And when he adds his own experience, he narrates, there are inspiring stories, not only for collectors, for layman's. That is lost forever. That's a impact, that's a huge impact. Now, we have discussed the problem, we have discussed the impact. Now let's talk about the solution. A collection, any kind of collection, let it be a toy car or let it be the actual car, for vintage car collectors, each and every collectible, the entire collection should be well documented. When we talk about physical count or documentation, I mean, it should be label, it should have serial number, it should have description, it should have photographs. Now, when I gave an example of vintage cars do have model numbers, they have registration numbers and license and other details. It's easy, it's very big in volume. Something small as a stamp, banknote, or any other physical item should have a label, should have a serial number, should have a description. At least you should have a photograph, and you should write next to the photograph or back of the photograph, or anyway in computer, in Excel file, you should write where you have acquired, the source. If you don't want to reveal the source or the cost, you should have some way of having the source and the cost and everything documented and kept securely. That is where we begin. Second, it should be appraised, and the valuation from expert and appraisal about the condition, about the current market. So what happens when you do that? You know your total investment, and that is very necessary when it comes to insurance. Let's say you have some art. Normally art is something including statues today, and sculptures and antiques and porcelains and things like that. They have an insurance policy. For other banknotes and coins and other things, we may not have a proper bank policy, insurance policy in India. But that's why we need to lobby the IRDA or any other governing body, and banknote, coin, stamps, or all the other valuables which talk about history, which has historical references, which has stories, and which has value. We should have a policy that should cover all the spectrum, the wide spectrum of collectible. That's one solution. Then again, coming back to investments and transactions, it should get recorded properly. Special notes on acquisitions and cost, source of acquisition, and the most important thing, family is unaware of the value and importance. Had it been the case where the widow was aware of the value, she wouldn't have called the scrap vendor. but in a lifetime she must be aware, her husband talking to different friend, different collectors. At least she should have called them, given a chance. But family is not aware of the value or the importance of that coin, importance of the stamp, or a document, a paper, a photograph, whatever antique. So you have to involve your family into it. They may not continue your collection, but at least they will see to it that it doesn't go in the wrong hands. Collection, again, it is preserved, stored. How you store it, how you handle it properly. uh, we in India, we have a different kind of atmosphere. We have 4 months or longer period of monsoon. We have a lot of humidity. We have heat that affects everything, right from stamp, banknote, or a wooden antique, or a brass, or gold, or silver. On silver, brass, other things, you have a green patina or a shade which people try to clean it with different chemicals, including something that is used to scrub the utensils in the kitchen. People use that. Sometimes they use toothpaste, sometimes they use something else to brush the coins, and the coin has scratch marks. It not only damages the value, but it damages the beauty of that coin. The finer details are lost. So what can we do as a group, as a club, as a body which is a group of collectors? We should have a helpline for know-how. People who have expertise should, set up a helpline, and those who want to get it properly restored, they should be able to ask and get details, get answers for their question. So we need a panel of expertise. Restoration can be done by self, if you are aware, if you have experience or exposed, or you can call the expert. It's not free, it may not be free, but you can get the item restored and preserved for more years. And as a group, we should have training seminars uh, on preservation, restoring, and handling, so that it's an open platform. People can learn how to restore, how to handle things properly. So we make sure the collection stays intact for another generation. Specializing tool, accessories, and product, yes. I see we don't have much. Everybody is trying to, store collectibles in a different way. So we should come up with some innovation, and through innovation and design, we should come up with some solutions, some ready-made products. That's also a business opportunity there. And yes, if you have a beautiful collection, if you have a good item, it should be showcased, it should be exhibited. So let the world know about the history, about the heritage, the story behind it, the bittersweet experiences. Let them learn, let them educate, let us educate people, especially the young generation, the kids, and let's inspire them to take up a hobby. Who knows? In this process, you uh, end up creating a second line, and make sure your collection, your legacy continues to the next generation. Yet another, the story which I shared with you. There is another story. It happened with a dear friend of mine. I convinced the family. I Till certain point of time, I convinced the family not to, sell the collections, or if they want to sell, they can give it to a collector, not a dealer or anybody else. But again, family's involvement and their knowledge, that's the problem. So they ended up selling the collection at much less price. Now it's their own money. It doesn't matter whether husband or son has invested. It's their own money, family's money. And let's say if he has invested in his lifetime 100,000 bucks in it, and they end up selling it at just few thousand, whose loss is it anyway? So how do we deal with it? Either pre or post. Pre is where we have to know when to stop. And when we decide, okay, I have enjoyed my collection, or it's time, I can't handle physically, age, ailment, I can't handle it anymore. Sorry. It can be put up for auction. It can go to private buyers, that is collectors, so that it is preserved and it is carried on. It can be gifted or donated to a museum or different collectors. Again, the legacy continues. Or, like in US, we can have a garage sale, and collectors can come and pick up at the right price. Again, it is distributed, but it is continued. And of course, collectible shows, there are exhibition, commercial exhibitions where you have opportunity to buy and sell. You can get your investment back. That's one thing we can do when we're alive. And we should at least make sure that post the family takes the right decision and contacts the right person. Now, this is something which I have already started. I'm recording interviews, I'm recording stories. Now, they are appearing in form of a article in a local newspaper, but very soon there will be a audio visual experience. It will be a audio visual interview, and the person's own voice, his anecdotes will be recorded, and it will be stored for future generation references, anything. Publishing on social media, articles, interviews, magazines like Facebook or any other social media, Instagram, where you can share your photographs, effective use of technology. So we make sure that the collection is handled properly, it is restored properly, it is well documented, and it is presented via exhibitions or these interviews or the photographs by magazines and online social media. So it reaches out to people, so people know what is available for research, what is collectible, everything. So we come to the end of the session. Please give a thought, please pause for a moment. And this is my appeal to collectors. You have done a good job. Now make sure your legacy is continued. Make sure your family is involved. Make sure they are aware of the value, the history behind it, so they will at least not throw away in trash. There are multiple stories. I don't want to name anybody, but people have shared these stories. When I interact with them, when I take interviews, they have said behind their back, their family has thrown everything in trash. I have multiple stories, and these are heartbreaking stories. So that is what inspired me to think on it and to come up with a presentation. And this is, I think, online this is the first, but offline I have presented this twice in Delhi and Mumbai, and I'll continue to interact people and showcase this presentation and interact on this. Personally, I am documenting each and everything. I have already started. I am halfway through, because if you talk about just water bottle labels, there are 4,000 of them or more. And there are many small things, like I collect airline and hotel memorabilia. So, right from in flight magazine, there are very small and big things. So, I'm working on a database, a website where this will be showcased, and on Excel along with photographs. I have already started myself. I am halfway through. It will take another year or so to completely document and restore everything what I have and get it appraised. I still don't have insurance policy, but we need to discuss. We need to lobby the IRDA or the governing body so that we can have a insurance policy that will cover the entire spectrum. So uh, we ensure that uh, the collection is well taken care. So that's the end of the session. If there are any questions, I'll take the questions now. Okay, I have the first question. What is the benchmark for pricing any collectible? Benchmark can be set by the players in the industries. Uh, we can't have a MRP, or we can't have a fixed price on that. But it is totally driven by the market and the players. So it is market driven. We need to do little research. We have online platforms, we have something like eBay, we have even Facebook. People are trying to it's a marketplace. So based on that history and based on that research, we can have a ballpark uh, figure or benchmark for this. Yes, this is related to the accessories. For any kind of paper, for any kind of stamp, check, currency, notes, anything, any kind of paper, uh, plastic which is acid free. There is a kind of plastic which is available, and today we have some players who have done research, who have done experiments, and uh, folders and packets and plastic sleeves and covers are available, made from acid free plastic. See, what happens is, if you have ordinary plastic and if you insert banknote, share certificate, over the period the plastic is going to release certain chemicals, oils on that paper, which will interact with the printing. Whether it is banknote or whether it is share certificate, it has ink. Most of the inks contain lead, so it will interact and it will damage the paper. It will get stuck to the plastic. So when you are trying to remove it for any restoration or scanning or whatever authentic or the tasting, it will get torn, it will get stuck to half of the part will be get stuck to the plastic. See, that's what people have experienced earlier. So acid free plastic, which is quite expensive, but yes, if you have something worth it, you should go for acid free plastic. Yes, normally when it comes to hobbies and collection, people always talk about first coin, then banknotes, then stamp, and then antiques or vintage cards or things like that. Uh, when we talk about collection, tickets, memorabilia, other things are actually not on anybody's mind. So there is a small market in India, but valuation can be done. Let's say I'm looking at an Air India uh, ticket, uh, ticket jacket which was used earlier, or the first ticket or boarding card which was used when Air India or the Tata Airlines started. Now that has a historical value. So of course you need an expert to do it, and you need to look at the current prices at auction houses. There are a lot of auction houses, they have their catalogs and the history, similar kind of items sold at x or x plus 1. Based on that, we can come to a valuation. Okay, when we go for a auction, the auction house has people with expertise, and they do all this research, and then they come to a valuation, they come to a figure, and insurance company hire them, and based on their research and report, including authentication, the insurance company accept the value. No, currently we don't have any schemes for collectors, except, as I said, art, paintings, and sculptures and things like that. We have insurance policy, but for any other collection or collectibles, currently, unfortunately, there are no insurance policies. So we need to come up. We need to join hand, different collector, different groups, and we need to put up a proposal, and we need to lobby at IRDA that these things also should be, these are valuable, and these should be evaluated, appraised, and there should be an insurance policy. Currently we don't have options. So no more questions. So guys, please give a thought. It's a serious thing. If you want to discuss, we can discuss as a group, individual level, but please make sure that all these points, everything is covered for the sake of hobby and your collection. Thank you.